moving into parts of East Texas towards Palestine there in Anderson County. So now this will be taken over by the folks up in Tyler that will now be focused on this storm as it continues to move into their area. As for what we expect for the rest of the evening, we are under a tornado watch for a chunk of the evening. Let's go ahead and pull that up. All right, so you can see this red box here. This is our tornado watch. In effect until 9 p.m. So we're continuing to watch this area primarily in the Brazos Valley and along the I-45 corridor until 9 o'clock tonight, as storms could continue, especially the ones we're tracking right now. There might be more activity behind these storms, but for right now, of course, these are obviously our primary focus and our primary concern. All right, spotter update. Wall cloud seen from just south of Marquez. No obvious rotation within the storm, but obviously if there's a wall cloud, that's a lowering. That obviously is one of the first signs that there could be a situation developing, but there is no obvious tornadic, funnel cloud rotation at this time. It's possible that, these storms do go through cycles. They cycle up, they cycle down. So we're just keeping an eye on this storm, seeing how it continues. Okay, so I believe we lost the stream for just a little while, but we should be back up and running. So for those of you on the 6+ app, thanks for staying with us. This current tornado warning, just to remind you, is for Robertson County and Leon County, and it lasts until 5:15. So we're going to continue to watch this storm as it tracks across the area, and as it moves through Leon County, we're going to see if it holds together. Right now it's not showing the same structure, the same signs that it was showing before, but again, it is still potentially capable of producing a tornado. And again, it's going to be the storm right there, right along the Navasota River, just to the north of Ridge, heading towards Marquez. So I've said it a few times, if you're in Marquez, now is the time to be seeking that shelter, because this area of rotation is bearing down on you right now. You can see it right here, moving across the river, across the Navasota River. And as it does so, it will be bearing down on Marquez very quickly here in the next 10 to 15 minutes, as a matter of fact. So make sure you're in your safe space, taking shelter from this storm as it continues to track to the northeast. Put this back in motion. You can see it's not moving terribly fast, only at about 25 miles per hour. This is why this has been such a long form event, because it's not moving terribly quickly. There's nothing forcing it. There's no push behind it to get it to travel across the area the same speed as the ones from Friday at 40 plus miles per hour. I do want to show you the history of this storm. There were times back when it was to the south of Bremond crossing Highway 6, it was very well formed, very well defined. Not quite the same structure now, and again we saw the velocity scan, not quite as impressive, but it is still there. The capability is still there that the storm could produce a tornado. So something that we definitely have to keep an eye on here for the rest of the evening, or at least until it potentially dissipates, which would be ideal, of course. Seeing a lot of activity again to the west of that cell, back towards Rosebud, and still seeing very heavy rainfall in areas there, and towards Bremond. Again, this just appears to be rain. We're not seeing any of those telltale signs of severe activity. The only severe situation that we still have left for us, of course, is the one for Robertson and now into Leon County. The tornadic activity crossing the Trinity River into Anderson County in that northern storm just a little while ago. So we continue to watch this storm. You can see the hail core diminishing a little bit. I say that, but quick reminder, these storms do go through cycles. They can cycle up and cycle back down. So just because that hail core is diminishing now doesn't mean it's going away, unfortunately. So we could see the storm restart to re-strengthen here as it moves through parts of Leon County. So something to keep an eye on for sure. As far as our forecast is concerned, we see here the activity again up towards Freestone County. You can see a little bit of activity basically in the area that we were just looking at. So this forecast model, I look at these forecast models, I always go back a little bit in time on them. So we're at 4 o'clock, and the reason I do that is to see kind of how much this forecast model has kind of picked up on some things. And it's pretty close. Obviously, right now we're close to 4:30, and very similar. We're seeing the activity move from Freestone into Anderson. We're seeing a few cells there from Robertson into Leon County. So let's put this in motion. As this batch of severe weather moves out, we could see some redevelopment a little bit later this evening, 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, as it continues to travel through the Brazos Valley. So definitely something that we will need to keep an eye on as we head through the rest of the evening. But right now, of course, our focus is on the storm that we've been watching in Robertson and Leon counties. And so we have a couple of different ways we can look at radar. On this radar, it does seem like it is cycling down over the last several scans. And again, let's not let that fool us into a false sense of security, of course. Again, maybe tightening up just a little bit with the rotation here as it crosses, again, right now, crossing the Navasota River. It will be moving towards Marquez in the next 10 minutes. Our forecast track did show about 4:40. That's when we'd expect it to move into that area. So if you're in Marquez, this is imminently bearing down on you. Something to be aware of. Again, as we head through the next 10 to 15 minutes. Be in your safe space. After that, it'll track towards Centerville. Might move just north of Centerville, but it is tracking towards I-45. Just like the last storm crossed I-45 in Freestone County, we expect this one to move across I-45 as it moves through Leon County. So a very highly traveled highway that has now had 2 potential pieces of tornadic activity move over it. Okay. All right, so some of the reports they're getting at the National Weather Service, impressive wall clouds, but nothing able to get more organized. Circulation on the southern cell will be passing right over Marquez in the next few minutes. Limestone County is doing a damage assessment. And then the National Weather Service saying still strong mid-level rotation on the Anderson County cell. So that was the one that we saw cross out of central Texas and into East Texas. So that's the one that we have let move into the Tyler jurisdiction. For us, though, we again want to continue to focus on this a little bit tighter than it was on last scan. Not super impressive right now. I'm not seeing the tightly wound rotation that we'd expect to see, but it is there. And of course, with that, we're still watching the capability of this storm to produce a tornado. It has a history of funnel clouds, potentially of a tornado touching the ground as well. So definitely something that we need to keep an eye on as we head through the next several minutes, because again, it is bearing down on the town of Marquez right now. If you're in Marquez and you have not yet gone to your safe space, now is the time to do so, because this storm is knocking on your door. Again, center of rotation right along, it looks like the Navasota River, if not maybe just a little bit east of the Navasota River. I do want to double check on the hail. Again, the hail core right over the Navasota River. Still seeing hail just under an inch. You'll notice, interestingly, that the severe thunderstorm warning is allowed to expire. The tornado warning continues. Not seeing the hail, not seeing the straight line winds that we were seeing before. Again, it's that rotation, of course, that we are concerned with. And on this last scan, maybe trying to re-intensify just a little bit. So we check the rotation one more time. You can see some of those reds intensifying just a little bit. So again, if you're in Marquez, safe space, that's where we need to be. If you're in Centerville, might as well go ahead and take care of that as well, because this storm is moving imminently towards you after it moves through Marquez. Again, did it appears just missed Ridge to the north, but Marquez looks like the storm could go right through the middle of Marquez. We don't have a confirmed tornado right now, but the storm has the capability. It also has the history, so that is important to note. Okay, Marquez 441, just like we've been talking about here in the next couple of minutes. Margie 458, Spring Seat 512, Centerville 520, Pleasant Ridge 528, Middleton 537, Ash by 601, Crockett by 635. So Crockett, that is in Houston County. So that is, again, that moves just a little bit out of our jurisdiction. But again, a slow-moving storm, not looking to leave Leon County until after probably about 5:45, and holding together well. An impressive storm, to say the least. And you can see in the northern reaches the tornado warning for Freestone County. The center of rotation on that storm has moved into Anderson County, so Freestone County clear of that now. Not clear of the storm yet. Still seeing a lot of rain in Freestone County. However, not seeing that rotation that we were seeing before. In our Robertson County storm, in our Leon County storm, not the same storm, it does show some signs that it's not necessarily as impressive as it was before, but we are still seeing that center of rotation. Again, now moving past the Navasota River, now moving towards Marquez. And we said about 440 for Marquez, and we're getting very close. It's 436 now, moving into Marquez likely as we speak. So it's important that if you're not already in your safe space, you need to be so, because this storm is moving right towards town right now, and it's very close. You can see now just on the outer edge of Marquez in that last scan. Coming very close right now, kind of moving between Highway 7 and Highway 79, but moving right towards where they meet in the middle of town there in Marquez. So if this storm is producing a tornado, which we don't have a confirmation that it is, but what we do have is signatures in our velocity that the rotation is starting to strengthen again. So it has the capability, certainly, of producing a tornado. So that is something that we are absolutely keeping an eye on right now. Yep, and then the National Weather Service saying shortly after I said that yes, the rotation is certainly increasing in this storm. So that's what we're seeing on radar, and that's what we have to keep an eye on, because this is going to be the storm that we have right now that could cause the most problems with a potential tornado. It has a history of spotters indicating funnel clouds, wall clouds, and of course tornadoes at times as well. So that storm has a history, and it has the capability. So we have to keep a very close eye on this as it continues to track across the area. All right, I'm going to step off the screen. I'm going to stay with you, though. So we'll keep talking through this storm. I just need to step off the screen, go to a different computer. I'm going to allow that one to restart. See if that fixes the connection woes we've been having with it. Again, we're seeing that center of rotation move into Marquez as we speak. Marquez, Carver School, Robbins, Centerville, Flo, Nineveh, Malvern by 6. Those are the areas the storm is heading. And then it will cross over the Trinity River likely a little bit right around 6 o'clock. Do want to double check the hail again. Again, the hail core has diminished. The rotation continues, but the hail core has diminished just a little bit. We're seeing hail now just to the north of Marquez of about 0.8 inches, less than severe criteria. But again, this storm, the situation is not necessarily a hail situation. It is most definitely a rotational situation. So as we go back to our velocity scan, you can see they're very tight with those greens and those reds coming together just near Marquez. So if you're in Marquez, if you're not in your safe space, that's where you need to be. That's where we've needed to be for a while now. Again, another quick recap. Tornado warning in effect. Robertson and Leon counties, although the storm has moved into Leon County at this point. In fact, the tornado warning for the back half there for Robertson County was just canceled. So we're now still dealing with this storm as it moves towards Centerville. As it moves through Marquez right now, if you're in Marquez, you're likely experiencing the center of rotation of this storm right now. So I want to come in very tight to the storm. And again, you can see from this situation that there is tight rotation right around Marquez. So that is what we're dealing with. Potentially a tornado, potentially a funnel cloud, potentially just rotation within the storm. We don't have any confirmed reports right now of a tornado on the ground, but again, this rotation looks very impressive as it continues to enter into the town of Marquez. So entirely possible that there could be a tornado associated with this storm. Checking a few other things to see if we can get any sort of confirmation of whether or not there might be a tornado on the ground. Again, it's hard to say sometimes when you're just dealing with radar indications, when you don't have a confirmation of the storm, but can confirm that there is very tight rotation within this particular area of the storm that is moving through Marquez. This is the center of rotation of the storm, and it's going through town, unfortunately. This, never something that we want to see, but it looks like that might be the case in this particular situation. And you can see there now the center rotation moving a little bit north, tracking along Highway 79 in that last scan, coming out of Marquez. So to recap, tornado warning in effect still for Leon County. It has been expired for Robertson County because the storm has moved out of Robertson County. Tornado warning in effect until 5:15, so for the next half hour as this storm continues tracking towards I-45, continues tracking towards Centerville, tracking right now out of Marquez. A lot of us seeing rain, but only the one storm exhibiting these severe characteristics, and that's the one again down near Marquez. It's the one we've been focused on for the better part of the last really hour or so, and you can see that rotation just to the north of town. And again, we track it, and we see that it is headed again towards Flo, Nineveh. Also, I'm not going to take Centerville out of this list. If you're in Centerville, you definitely need to be taking precautions as the storm gets closer. Yes, it's tracking to the north right now, but in case it changes direction or anything like that, you need to be in your safe space as well. All right, I'm going to restart this computer on the wall. Hopefully we can get a little more connectivity out of it than what we were getting before, because again, it was not necessarily working the best for us. So, center rotation right here. I know it's a little bit harder when I'm off screen not to point it out. Again, where the greens and the reds come together, that's the area that we've been tracking. It is moving off to the or the east-northeast, moving through Marquez, now likely past Marquez, possibly to the north of town. It's going to continue to track off to the northeast. We have Carver School, we have Lone Star High School, we have Flo, Nineveh in the path. Also, though, if you're in Centerville, I would urge you to seek your safe space, because even though it's below the southern part of our forecast track, if this storm changes direction at all, we could be seeing the storm move through Centerville as well. So to recap, tornado warning in effect until 5:15, moving across I-45 here in the next probably about 30 to 45 minutes. You see we're getting very close to our actual show time. We'll continue to track this tornado warning as long as it's here. We won't leave this tornado warning until it reaches its conclusion. So obviously we want to make sure everybody's prepared, everybody's safe, and everybody's informed as this continues to move across the area. So let me go back to this other computer over here real quick. All right, so continuing on through this tornado warning, again, tracking along Highway 79 right now. So Highway 79 in Leon County at the moment is a no-go because this storm is tracking right along the highway. So it's absolutely a necessity that you stay off of Highway 79 currently as the storm continues to move across, especially between Buffalo and, say, Marquez. So the storm did move through Marquez just a few moments ago. So spotters in Centerville reporting that potentially there was a tornado down but has lifted. Another spotter saying he is between Marquez and Centerville at this time and did not see a tornado on the ground from his location. They continue to talk about the Anderson County storm as well. Obviously that's moved out of the 6 News and the KAGS viewing area. However, if you have family on the east side of the Trinity River, it's vital to let them know that this storm is in their vicinity and still very capable of producing tornadic activity. In fact, there are a couple of areas of rotation within Anderson County. So potentially on that last scan, you just saw it update. We are seeing a little bit of weakening there, and then I just deleted it. So we're watching this area. Again, it doesn't look as clean as it did just a few scans ago, which is something that we're watching. It is entirely possible that there was a tornado associated with this system as it moved through Marquez. It has now lifted along Highway 79. So, again, if you have to travel along Highway 79, now is not the time. This storm is tracking towards Jewett. It is tracking just a little bit more to the northeast than east, as it was just a minute ago. So again, as we put a track on this again, you can see Jewett 458. Flow by 531, Dunbar High School by 553, Oakwood 553, County Line School 604. So lots of schools in the path. Obviously it's Sunday and likely not a huge issue, but if you know where these schools are, these are the areas that this storm is making its way towards as we speak. So important to note. So my apologies to everybody. We just had a viewer call in and let me know that it is not Marquez, it is Marquez. Obviously my apologies, never my intention to disparage anybody's hometown by mispronouncing it, obviously. But I've been in Central Texas for a little over a year. I've gotten most of the town names down, but there are still some that I haven't had to say quite yet. So again, my apologies for mispronouncing Marquez. I think I called it Marquez about 17 times, so I do apologize for that. A little bit more of a jovial tone in my voice, and that's because we did see this circulation break down just a little bit, so it's not as tight as it was. A few scans ago, we were looking at very tight rotation as it was going through Marquez, so that was the concern, is that we were dealing with potentially a tornado that was occurring in the town. Now, since it's moved along Highway 79, we're not seeing that tight rotation anymore. So that could be an indication that if there was a tornado associated with the storm, it has now lifted back up, and the storm is not, it looks like it is likely not producing a tornado at this time. Still could be, obviously, but just worth mentioning that it looks like it has broadened out, weakened a little bit. There's the storm in question. We were showing you earlier, had a very well-defined pendant shape on it. That was an indication that potentially it was rotating. It was a potentially tornadic storm. At this time, it's a little bit more messy. It doesn't have that textbook sort of shape to it. However, still a dangerous situation, as it is still exhibiting signs of rotation as it continues to travel across the area. Looking back to the west, do want to mention this for just briefly, while we're still dealing with this tornado situation, we're still seeing more rain developing back to the west from Temple down to Salado up to Troy, Marlin, Thornton. Those areas, again, seeing more rain at this time, but the big story, of course, is the tornado warning currently in effect for Leon County. And on that last scan, perhaps maybe a little bit more of an inflow trying to develop on this storm. Again, not the most textbook of sites, but it is still a potential situation. All right, so once again, just to recap, this tornado warning is still in effect until 5:15 for Leon County. The storm is approaching I-45. it is not moving terribly quickly, so we are still several minutes away from it moving across I-45. But for now, the concern is for folks in Jewett as it moves towards the town of Jewett there along Highway 79. So we want to track it again to give an idea of where it's headed. Flow, Nineveh by 549 there. Perfect. So that was just our production team letting me know that here in just a couple of minutes. We've been live on KAGS this whole time. We've been live on our KCENTV.com 6+ app and Facebook Live this entire time, but in the next few minutes we will be transitioning to KCEN as well. And this, again, tornado warning situation still ongoing, will likely be ongoing into the newscast. We'll see what happens here over the next 20 minutes or so. But this tornado warning is still in effect until about 5:15. Going to attempt to move back to the wall now. I believe that other computer should be up and running. 10, 122, 34, 92. Hey, Adriana.
Hey, what's up?
Do y'all have pictures and videos and things of that nature? Okay, so off the top of the show, I've still got we're still talking. So Adriana Alexander just walked into the studio. Say hi, everybody. But what we're doing is we're still tracking this tornado warning. At some point, you know, my goal is to toss over to you so you can show some of those pictures and videos. Obviously, because showing radar is great, but obviously seeing what's happening is infinitely better. So as soon as I know we have control, and I'm you know, a little behind the scenes for the folks at home, I'm having some serious issues with my IFB. Hopefully I can hear production when they start talking to us to tell us we're about to go on the air. But again, this is still an ongoing situation. Tornado warning in effect for Leon County. So primarily for the Brazos Valley right now, but for those of us here in Central Texas, still dealing with a lot of weather across the area as well. So hey, Michael, can you say something in my ear just to make sure I can hear you? Perfect. Okay, I can hear you. I just can't hear myself. That's actually ideal. All right, so again, this storm did pass through Marquay about 10 minutes ago, 10 to 15 minutes ago, has been tracking up 79 this entire time since then, now moving towards Jewett. So if you're in Jewett, obviously this is the time to be in your safe space. Still checking the rotation. There have been times in the past 10 minutes or so where we've had a scan where it didn't look very impressive, but then we know this storm has a history of kind of cycling up and cycling down. Taking a look here, this is very messy. So the last few scans showing us that maybe this storm is trying to run out of some of that rotational energy that it had, but something that we definitely need to continue to keep an eye on because that rotation is still there as it continues its travels northeast through Leon County. So where is it headed? That's the question we've been asking all day, and obviously that's, I believe, the most important part of this severe weather coverage is letting people know when it's going to be in their neighborhood so they can be prepared. Flow 532, Nineveh by 545, 607 Raynard. And then again, we have a couple of schools on there. Obviously, it's Sunday, so we're not dealing with school situations, but if you know where these locations are, then you know that those are on the list of places that this activity will be moving through here over the next several minutes. That's what we're dealing with. Let's recap. We're about to start the show. Michael, if you'll give me a countdown when we're ready to go. Start off with me. And so what's about to happen is we're about to start the 5 o'clock show here in about 30 seconds. We're going to start on me, but then we're going to go to some pictures and videos. So if you are watching on the 6 Plus app and you've got it on TV as well, you'll catch our regular 5 o'clock newscast, and we will definitely have some pictures and videos of today's activity, and we're going to recap the thunderstorms that are happening right now. Okay, and we're about 10 out. All right, starting off the 5 o'clock news, 6 News at 5 here with a weather situation. We're staying weather aware today because we do have a tornado warning still in effect for Leon County and the Brazos Valley. So we've been dealing with this for the better part of about the last 3 hours or so. This tornado warnings, we had one south tornado warning and one north that was going through Limestone and Freestone counties. This one originated back in the sort of Tri-County area between Falls, Milam, and Robertson, and has since tracked through parts of Leon County. We're going to take a look at this real quick, and then once we are done taking a look at the current situation, we're actually going to toss it over to Adriana, who is in the studio, who has some pictures and videos sent in by viewers and others. But first, I do want to recap just a little bit about this tornado warning. We have this area of rotation. It's moving right along Highway 79 near Jewett, and as it continues to travel along this path, right now it's not impacting it's impacting Jewett, but other than that, it looks like it's got some weak rotation. It doesn't look as strong as it did about 5 or 10 minutes ago, but we're keeping an eye on it. This tornado warning lasts until 5:15, so we've got about 14 minutes or so longer to really see if this storm will hold together and if this tornado warning is allowed to continue through about 5:30. For now, though, I do want to take it back to our anchor, Adriana, who, what have y'all received through the day? What do y'all have to show?
Have been happening all day. We have footage right here on our tag board from East Groesbeck. Some of these images are coming from East Groesbeck. You can see those thick cloud cover in this area, and that's East Groesbeck. And another is Vermont. They've been dealing with a lot of rain and a lot of flooding in that area as well. So people have been sending things in, and we've been finding things on social media to make sure we keep people weather aware in our area. Now in Central Texas, we do also have video of the heavy rainfall that hit Waco, Temple, and other areas of Central Texas. There's been, like I said, heavy rain and thunderstorms as it lasted all last night and today. Now, due to that heavy rain, there are some streets that are currently experiencing flooding. So when encountering water covering roadways, Temple City officials advise drivers to be cautious and refrain from attempting to navigate through these flooded areas. Again, just please be sure to drive safe, because you don't want your car to be something like that to where it's really dangerous. And that's outside of my door, actually. I could barely even walk out, and my dogs also try to walk out too. So just make sure to be safe when you're going out there and traveling, guys.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. Obviously, we've had the tornado warnings, but that's not the only thing that we've been dealing with all day. We've been dealing, like Adriana just showed you, the images and the videos of the rain. I've seen, we have the video of the car stuck. We saw another report out of McLennan County where a car was stuck at a low water crossing as well. So lots of rain. In fact, let's go ahead and check. I think we've got a little bit of a lull here on this tornado warning. The rotation doesn't look as tightly wound as it did before, so I definitely want to see some of the rainfall totals that we've had throughout the day, because they have been impressive. I checked it about 4 hours ago, and it was already up to about 4 inches. So let's see where we are now, because the problem is these storms have been traveling the same path. In fact, while we're getting the rainfall rate set up, take a look at just the last 12 hours. Going back to 5 a.m., so just before the system came in, the squall line moved in, and that was round one. And then after that, the squall line actually exhibited what we call an outflow boundary, strong winds coming out the backside of the storm, which helped to facilitate the growth of a lot of these storms. And then these storms, as they moved into the Brazos Valley was basically untapped riches as far as atmospheric instability goes. So that's where we ended up seeing these storms really grow into what they are. So what are those rainfall totals look like? Well, as we set that up, All right, so this is going to be a 12-hour loop. We're going to see what we've gotten so far today. So if we look near Rogers, and again, these are estimates, these are not confirmed totals, but near Rogers, so in southeastern Bell County, 7.7 inches possible. Again, these are estimates. We don't have these as confirmed accumulations, but according to our radar's ability to kind of interpret the data, possibly 7.7, close to 8 inches there near Rogers. Here in Temple, about 4 inches. Near Lott, how about 7.1? Marlin, 6.4. And notice it's all in this path. Most of our storms followed the same path today. We call it training, right? It's like the cars of a train. One follows the other. So that's what we've been dealing with. But for now, obviously, the thing that we need to continue to be focused on is going to be the tornado warning that we're dealing with in Leon County, because that continues to be a little bit of a problem for us as it just continues across the area. So again, we have about 10 minutes left on this tornado warning. I do want to see if there are any updates in the National Weather Service chat. And again, let's go ahead and take a look at the rotation within this storm. So we're going to zoom in on Leon County. And again, right near Jewett, just to the south. In fact, if I was looking at an area of rotation, it would be right here, just to the south of Jewett, kind of moving off of Highway 79, tracking though towards I-45. So this is going to be a problem here over the next about 20 minutes or so as the storm continues